You are not living a life. You are repeating a memory, wrapped in fear and called normal. You wake up every morning and play an old version of yourself, the one chosen for you by society, family, the past, and the ego. Not because you're not good enough, but because you've forgotten who you are. And if you still feel like something in this life is not right, if you've ever heard a very small voice inside telling you that you were born to live more than this, then this isn't the first time you've heard it. It's just the first time you remember. There's a truth that few dare to face. The life you're living isn't truly life. It's a sophisticated simulation, a script you were cast into since you were very young. You didn't choose it. It was programmed into you. From the first glance, you learned to please others. From the moment you were rewarded for obedience and punished for truth, you began learning how to become something instead of being yourself. We call it growing up, but in truth, it's the process of leaving the soul behind. Have you ever had this feeling? That you are acting out a role every single day, that something doesn't align between the you inside and the you outside, that everything feels programmed? Picture a fish born in a tank. It swims, lives, and reacts in water, but never realizes the water is what surrounds it. Only when it's thrown out does it realize it was imprisoned. You are the same. You're swimming in a field of illusion, built from beliefs, expectations, fears, and standards that don't belong to you. You call it reality. But in truth, it's just a version of reality limited by perception. But wait, this isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a truth you feel in your bones. Because the soul cannot be deceived forever. The soul knows you are not just the job you do, not the pain you've endured, not the identity you were assigned. You are the observer of it all. You are the consciousness that's never been broken. You are the light, wrapped in form. So what's the first step? Not awakening, not learning something new, but removing what's not you. Put down the programmed commands. I must succeed to have worth. I must be loved to feel whole. I must keep trying, trying, trying. All those musts are the bars of a mental cage. Try this. Stand before a mirror. Look at yourself. No makeup, no posing, no defenses. Then ask, is there something I'm pretending to be, just to be accepted? You'll feel the answer without words. And that is where real reality begins to emerge. Why do most people never escape the illusion? Because they don't know they're in one. Because the cage is built from things they believe are normal. But you are starting to notice. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Practice. Write down 3 beliefs you're living by, but have never questioned their origin. Ask, did I choose to believe this, or was it planted in me by someone else? This is the first step to breaking the matrix from within. You don't need to run and seek the truth. You just need to stop running from the things that help you remember it. We will continue, shattering piece by piece of the illusion until you return to yourself. After you realize you're living in a simulated reality field, the next big question will emerge. If I'm not this life, then who am I? That question may sound simple, but for most people, it's also what terrifies them the most. Because behind the phrase, I am, that you often use to introduce yourself, lies a series of identities that you've never actually questioned. Imagine a child being brought onto a big stage. Each person steps up and hands them a mask. This is the good kid. This is the smart one. This is the well-behaved. This is the victim. This is the one born unworthy. And when the final mask sticks on, they forget that they once had a face of their own. That's ego. Not an enemy. Not a monster. But a mask that can talk. It speaks through thoughts, through reactions, through the patterns you repeat every day. It's the part of you, afraid of being left behind. So it tries to control everything. It's not evil, it's just afraid. What does ego say? I am what I do. I am my past. I am my failure or my success. I must try hard to be loved. I must do everything alone because no one understands me. And you believe it because you've heard that voice for so long that you mistake it as your own. But here's the truth. The ego is a programmed reflex system designed to help you survive. But it doesn't have the power to set you free, because everything it creates revolves around fear of rejection, fear of being hurt, fear of losing control, fear of not being loved. Want to spot the ego? Watch the moments when you defend instead of feel. For example, when someone says something you dislike, do you instantly react to prove them wrong? When you see someone succeed, do you feel confused or secretly judged? When you try to do something different, do you hear a voice say, "Everyone will laugh"? That's ego, trying to keep you in the old safe zone, because it doesn't know how to live beyond the past. A simple lifelong practice. Every time you hear an inner thought that makes you shrink, ask yourself, is this the voice of love or the echo of fear? If it's fear, that's not your true self. That's ego speaking. Here's the interesting part. The ego cannot withstand the light of awareness. It only survives in unconsciousness. Once you look directly at it, it loses its power. The highest value here. It's that you begin to tell the difference between what is truly you and what is programming. It's that you stop living from reaction and start living from consciousness. You don't need to kill the ego. You just need to stop letting it drive the car. Let it sit in the back seat. And you, with clarity and love, are the one holding the wheel. Practice. Write down 3 beliefs or reactive habits you suspect come from the ego. Then write, if I didn't believe this, how would I act differently? You'll be surprised to find that the real version of you has always been there, just waiting to be invited out. You could live your whole life in a mask without knowing it. But just one moment of awakening is enough to take it off. No need to fight. Just need to see it. You might think you're living by thoughts, but no, you're living by frequency. Reality doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to the energy you're emitting in every moment. Imagine this. You're a radio. You broadcast a specific signal, and life sends you back the exact song on that channel. Not because it's rewarding or punishing you, but because it's neutral, like a perfect mirror of what you're unconsciously sending out. And this is where most people get stuck. They say, I wrote down my goals. I made a vision board. I think positively every day. Yet they still attract delay, chaos, or repeat wounding relationships. Why? Because they're using thoughts to trick frequency. But energy doesn't obey words, it senses truth. You might say, I believe I'm worthy. But inside, you tremble when someone truly loves you. You might say, I will succeed. But you avoid every small action because you fear rejection. What are you broadcasting? Not from your mouth, but from the energy field under your skin. The world doesn't hear your words. It hears the voice you've never dared to admit. The simplest vibration formula, frequency, dotando true emotion. Hidden intention, unconscious belief. If you want to change reality, You don't need to attract something new. You need to remove what's broadcasting wrongly. Look again. Are you vibrating with lack or abundance, fear of loss or trust, straining effort or freedom-based action? The greatest value here is that you stop using the mind to force right thinking and begin recalibrating your energy field from within. Simple morning frequency reset practice, 5 minutes. Centering breath, 1 minute. Inhale, I return. Exhale, I return to myself. Energy scan, 2 minutes. Close your eyes. Visualize the light surrounding you. Feel where in your body you're tensing, shrinking, or feeling heavy. Breathe into that area and say, I no longer need to defend myself. Set a new frequency, 2 minutes. Ask, what frequency do I choose today? Example, peace, courage, honesty. Visualize that frequency expanding into the space around you. Do this each morning for 5 minutes, and you'll shift the universe's feedback loop. Because you don't manifest what you wish for. You manifest the version of yourself that's present. One question to reset your energy whenever you feel overwhelmed. If everything around me is reflecting my inner world, what inside me needs adjusting? There's nothing wrong with you. The frequency just needs a little tuning, and you can do that at any moment. No money is required, no teacher is needed. Just a remembrance of the vibrational power you were born with. We grow up in a world that teaches. To get what you want, you must control. You must plan. You must analyze every possible outcome. You must hold tight. And so, we tense up every day, fighting life as if it's a wave that will sweep us away if we're not strong enough. But there is another way. A way that is neither defeat nor passivity. A way that can liberate your entire being. It's called surrender. Surrender is not giving up. Surrender is realizing that not everything is in your hands, but everything can move through you. Surrender is not blocking the flow of water, but learning to move with it and knowing when to ride, when to pause. Surrender is letting go of the illusion of control to live in a state of trust. Picture this. A river flows past rocks, roots, and mud. It doesn't complain. It doesn't ask, am I going the right way? It just flows, and because of that, it overcomes everything. So can you. But why is surrender so hard? Because a part of you still believes, if I don't control, I'll get hurt. If I'm not proactive, I'll miss the opportunity. If I let go, I'll lose my power. But holding on too tightly is exactly what drains your energy, disconnects you, and makes you lose yourself. The 3 things people cling to the most without realizing: outcomes. I must get that result in this way, by that time. But life operates by non-linear wisdom, self-image. I must not be weak. I must not be wrong. But the truth is, that vulnerability is the doorway to strength, past and roles. I'm the one who was betrayed. I'm the victim. I'm the one who sacrificed. But you're not there anymore. You don't need to carry the old role into a new life. What is the practice of surrender? It's allowing life to unfold without always resisting it. Whenever you catch yourself tensing up, I must not let this happen. Ask instead, can I let this happen and remain whole? The answer is usually yes. Daily surrender practice. 3 steps, 5 minutes. Take a deep breath and place your hand on your heart. Ask, what am I trying to control today? Acknowledge the emotion without judgment. Exhale slowly and say, I don't need to control this to be safe. Feel your body soften. Whisper a sacred mantra. I release my grip on ignorance and let wisdom lead. The magic is, when you let go, you are not swept away. You are lifted. You'll begin to see clearly what is real and what is just old fear. What needs action and what needs stillness. When it's time to say go and when it's time to simply stay. The greatest value of surrender, that when you stop pushing the water, it begins to carry you. You don't need to control the flow. You just need to recognize you are already in it and trust it knows the way. And in that trust, you begin to feel light. Light as your true self that no longer carries anything. No labels, no roles, no resistance. Only a self is finally allowed to live as it is. Stillness, a simple word, yet the most luxurious thing in today's world. We live in a constant storm of noise, information, expectations, and the never-ending chatter in our heads. We are pressured to react, to respond, to do something just to prove that we exist. And then, when night falls, what keeps us from sleeping is not the noise outside, but the voices inside that have never been heard. But it is in stillness, in the space where there is no more noise, no more effort, no more justifications, that we finally begin to hear our true selves. Stillness is not the absence of sound. It is the absence of inner resistance. It is the state where you are no longer fighting to become someone, but simply being present. You don't need to be good at meditation to reach stillness. You just need to pause. Pause between a thought. Pause before a reaction. Pause with a single breath. And in that moment, when everything quiets down, even the voice inside your head, you will feel something deeply familiar, something you haven't touched in a long time. Source. Source doesn't arrive through knowledge, doesn't come from striving. Source only reveals itself when you become empty enough to hold it. Stillness is the doorway, not opened by will, but by allowance. Have you ever sat alone, no phone, no music, nothing, and suddenly felt a nameless sense of peace? It wasn't because nothing was happening. It was because, for the first time, you touched a part of you that has always been there, but was buried under noise. The truth is that your soul doesn't need more learning to be whole. It only requires you to stop scattering long enough for it to be heard. People often ask, how do I connect with my intuition? How do I know which voice is mine and which is ego? The answer is, you must learn to sit in stillness long enough to tell which voice is real. The ego is urgent, rushed, and hungry to control. Intuition is light as breath and never forces you. But you won't hear intuition if you've never been still. Begin with small moments. 1 minute before you scroll your phone. 2 minutes sitting in the car, doing nothing. Close your eyes. Inhale. Expect nothing. Seek nothing. Just feel. I am here. With just a few minutes a day, you'll begin to notice that there is a part of you that doesn't sway with the world. A part that needs no effort to prove. A part that already knows. And when you return to that place, when you let stillness wrap around you like a soft stream of light, you will see that you were never alone. You were never lost. You were only buried under noise. Reality doesn't need you to do more. It needs you to come back within. And from there, everything you do becomes a ripple from the root of truth. Stillness is not a destination. It is the starting point of your most authentic self. And when you begin living from that space, all resistance in life begins to dissolve. There are two versions of you living within this one body. One part is always afraid, always guarding, always doubting, and running from the unknown. And the other, silent, expansive, steady like a mountain, and light like the wind, is simply waiting for you to remember. We call the first part the lower self. It was born to protect you. It's the part of you that's been hurt, rejected, and learned how to avoid pain just to survive. And because it once saved you, you've let it drive the car for many years. But the lower self doesn't know how to love. It only knows how to survive. It makes decisions based on fear, not truth. It says, stop dreaming. Be realistic. It whispers, if you're too honest, you'll be hurt again. It pulls you back to old habits, old people, and what you call your comfort zone, even though you're no longer that person. In contrast, the higher self doesn't steer with fear. It doesn't seek control, and it doesn't need to win. It doesn't compare, doesn't prove, doesn't beg for validation. It knows you are already enough, even before you try to prove it. It doesn't scream. It whispers, in the moments when you are still enough to hear. You've heard it before, but you thought it was just a vague intuition. The difference between these two selves doesn't lie in appearance or knowledge. It lies in the invisible motive behind every choice you make. The same action. From the lower self, you feel drained. From the higher self, you feel expanded. The same words. One side demands and the other shares. You don't need to eliminate the lower self. You just need to recognize when it's speaking and choose not to follow it. No rejection, no battle, just awareness. When you're about to send a message you know comes from a need to control or demand a response, pause. When you feel the urge to do something just to be recognized, ask yourself, who is acting right now? My true self, or an old fear of mine? That one question is enough to shift you into another level of awareness. You will start to feel it. The lower self reacts, the higher self chooses. You cannot live a new life with the same old self inside. All outer transformation is only the echo. The true change always begins with the question, who is living in me right now? It might be hard to tell the difference at first, but trust me, you'll start to notice. One part makes you feel heavy, doubtful, withdrawn, exhausted. The other makes you feel right, light, clear, and still. That is your real self. And every time you choose to act from that place, even in the smallest way, you are paving the way for an entirely new reality. One is no longer built on reaction, no longer based on escape, but grounded in presence, in choice, in living from the center of your soul. Every lasting transformation begins right here. There are days when you wake up and no longer feel like yourself. Everything around you looks the same as yesterday, but something inside feels off, heavy, misaligned, uncentered. You don't know why. You just know you're out of alignment. Being off doesn't mean you're wrong. It's a signal. Misalignment is your body, your emotions, and your energy gently whispering that you've drifted from your center. Like playing an instrument where just one string is slightly loose. Everything sounds off. And if you don't pay attention, you'll think the problem is life itself. You'll blame your job, other people, the circumstances outside. Without realizing, the world is simply reflecting the inner state of dissonance within you. There are small but precise signs that you're not living from your true self. You start to compare. You become defensive. You feel the need to prove yourself. You lose passion for things that once lit you up. You overreact to small things. You feel like no matter how much you do, it's not enough. You disconnect from your body. And sometimes, you quietly look into the mirror and don't quite recognize the one staring back. That doesn't mean you've become worse. It means you've momentarily drifted away from yourself. We all fall out of alignment. What matters is, do you notice when it happens? And do you have the tools to come home? This one simple question can open the door back. Where am I living from? My true self, or the version of me that's afraid? Just answering that honestly starts to pull you back to center. Sometimes you misalign because you're carrying too much energy that isn't yours. Other people's emotions, societal expectations, and the noise of social media. Sometimes you drift because you're chasing what looks like a goal, but are afraid of wearing a mask. You can reset everything with a simple practice. Pause, listen, clear. Find a quiet space. Place your hand on your chest. Ask, what part of me is tensing? What am I trying to prove? Take a long, deep breath. Then ask again, if I'm out of alignment, what was the first sign that I left myself? The answer will come, and when it does, don't scold yourself. Don't try to go back to who you were. Just allow yourself to return. Bit by bit. Drink water. Bathe with presence. Write a few lines that don't need to be perfect. Say no to what no longer fits. The truth is that you don't need to go anywhere to come back. You just need to stop. Stop chasing. Stop pretending. Stop believing you have to be okay to be loved. You are loved. Even when you're off track, you are enough. Even when you're not in perfect alignment. You're not broken, you just need a breath. Every time you pause and ask, where am I living from? You've already returned. And when you stay in that question long enough, the answer stops mattering. Because you've already arrived back at the place where your truest self was patiently waiting. Awakening doesn't happen in one glorious moment. It doesn't arrive with a lightning strike of spiritual revelation. It isn't something you achieve. It's something you remember, little by little, every single day. The truth is that you never lost your higher self. You just got distracted, scattered, pulled away from yourself by thousands of things that seemed important. And the only way back isn't to dig deeper, but to slow down and remember more deliberately. You don't need 100 tools, you just need a few moments in the day to call yourself back. Start like this. In the morning, before you touch your phone, touch your heart. Breathe in and whisper, I return. That's it. No need to feel anything. That single act is the reminder you've been missing, that you are not the world out there. You are the still center within. Then write one sentence, just one line. Today, from where within me do I choose to live? The answer might be peace, truth, freedom. It doesn't matter what you write. What matters is that you remember you get to choose. At midday, when things start to spin, emails, deadlines, people needing your response, pause for 30 seconds. Place your hand on your belly. Take one full breath and ask, am I chasing something or reflecting something? You'll be surprised to see how much of what you label urgent is just the habit of running from uncertainty. At night, before sleep, ask the final question. Did I live in alignment with myself today? If yes, offer gratitude. If not, forgive. Then softly say, tomorrow I choose to remember a little sooner. Transformation doesn't happen when you understand something new. It happens when you become more consistent with what you've always known. You can create an entirely different day with just 5 small acts. Waking in silence instead of rushing. Setting your intention through feeling, not goals. Listening to your body instead of commanding it. Saying no to misaligned things even tiny ones. Take the last 5 minutes of your day to return within. This is not a routine, this is a ritual. Each time you do these things, you're telling the universe, I've remembered myself. I've returned. I'm ready to live from what's true. You don't need things to be perfect to live truthfully. You just need to plant your feet on the ground each day, as if you know you came from the stars. Awakening doesn't live in books. It lives in how you breathe, how you eat, how you face real emotion. It lives in how you listen to someone without interrupting, in how you choose silence instead of defense, in how you stay when an old part of you rises. That is where truth gets to live. You may not realize it, but the moment one person remembers their true self, the world around them begins to shift. There is no need to explain, no need to teach others what is right, no need to impose any beliefs. Truth carries a frequency, and when you live in that frequency, you don't have to speak much. Your energy speaks for you. You walk into a room, and something in the atmosphere changes. Not because you shine, but because you are. Not because you try to stand out, but because you've stopped hiding. You become a mirror. Others see themselves when they look at you. People may not understand you right away. Some might feel uneasy. Some might avoid you. Not because you're wrong, but because light exposes what's been buried too long in the dark. And yet, there will also be those who, in one simple conversation with you, will suddenly cry. Not because of what you said, but because you touched something in them they had forgotten. You awakened something just by being true to yourself. That is the ripple. It starts with you living in truth, flows into the way you look at others, into how you pause, how you respond, how you say no to what no longer reflects you. Then it spreads to the ones you love, and from them to others. No one sees the process, but you know it's real. The world doesn't change through grand slogans. It shifts through the quiet presence of awakened souls, living it out day by day. It's you, the one who dares to say, I don't need to live by expectations anymore. It's you, the one who sits and breathes when you could have screamed. It's you, the one who chooses love over avoidance, forgiveness over revenge. You are the wave, and you will never know exactly whom you're affecting or how. You might not be famous. You might not have a large platform. But every time you live truthfully, you permit someone else to do the same. A child looks at you and learns, oh, I don't have to be perfect to be loved. A friend sees your tears and realizes, I'm allowed to be soft too. A co-worker hears how you say no with grace and wonders, why haven't I done that before? You don't need to try to make an impact. You only need to stop blocking the natural impact of your real self. It's like a campfire in a quiet forest. It doesn't call anyone, but whoever walks by wants to sit near. Living your truth isn't for inspiration. Living your truth is the inspiration. And if each person simply lived one full day from their most honest center, this world would begin to heal itself without anyone needing to give orders. You've gone so far that sometimes you forget you never actually left. Everything you've gone through, the misalignments, the fears, the anger, the loneliness, they were never signs you lost your way. They were lighthouses, gently guiding you inward. This journey was never about becoming someone greater. It was always about remembering who you already are. Before the noise pulled you away, before the conditions rewrote your name, before the roles layered over your truth, you didn't come here to climb some imaginary tower of worth. You came to step down from every borrowed pedestal, to strip away the defenses, to peel off the masks, to release the expectations, until you stood still, bare but radiant, like the first light you ever were. And when you return to that place, you don't achieve enlightenment. You simply reunite with your true self, with the version of you that once saw everything through unprogrammed eyes, with the soul that was never broken, only forgotten. Reunion is when you stand still in the middle of all the chaos, and instead of asking, "What do I do next?" you quietly ask, "Can I allow myself to be who I am right now?" Reunion is when you stop trying to earn love and begin accepting it as your native language. Reunion is when you no longer need to understand everything, because you feel something deeper than understanding, a peace that asks for nothing. This is not the end of your journey. It's the gentle closure of one spiral, so you can step into the next, carrying less. You no longer need to fight to be yourself, because now you know. You never needed permission. You only needed to be true. And that truth, when lived fully, becomes the foundation for every transformation to come. There's no more need to try to awaken. You only need to stop forgetting. Stop forgetting that you are light. Stop forgetting that you are enough. Stop forgetting that even when you fall out of rhythm, when you slip, when you break apart, you can always return. Because returning isn't a location. It's a state where you live, without division. If there's only one thing you carry with you from this journey, let it be this: I don't need to go anywhere to become anything. I only need to pause long enough to see I've always been here. And if you pause long enough, you'll hear the voice inside silence, the voice of yourself. No longer confused, no longer waiting, just you, alive, bathed in the light you've always carried. Thank you for walking this journey. If something inside you has shifted, it's not because you learned something new, but because you just remembered something ancient. And if you wish to keep unfolding, we'll meet again in the next passage, where truth no longer needs to be proven, only lived. Are you ready to stop trying to awaken and simply live in the not forgetting?